Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back, and I'm doing another pass of lawn mowing.
I guess I'll get this guy over here to kill the corn.
So, looking at the money, we basically sold pretty much everything that's in the silo, as well as what else did we sell?
We sold that stupid device that does the silage because we're never ever gonna do that again.
Yeah,
and we sold all the silage that was up there.
So that got us up to what we have now, which there was a reason we wanted that number, right?
So we want to buy another harvester, right? Are we actually there? Can we do it?
I think so. Wasn't it 430?
Oh, it was. All right.
Yeah, that's why I sold up until, because we still have some corn in the silo, but corn's not selling for that much. Okay. So I only sold enough to get us to what I thought the threshold was. That was for that. There we go. It's bought. We figured the harvester is like our bottleneck right now.
Oh, man, look at it. It's so new and clean.
Did you get a different color?
There wasn't a color option.
What?
I know. Cannot customize this at all.
That's bullshit. The nice thing is we already have two headers because we have one for the corn and sunflowers and one for the other stuff. So we can kind of run them simultaneously now, and hopefully it'll be a little bit more productive for us here.
Bringing it back down the road here. Speaking of roads, what about that Silk Road?
what a good transition. So Silk Road. You remember when Silk Road went down back in like, was it October?
There's been several iterations of it, have there not?
Well, I think it was in the news pretty heavily for a while shortly before it went down, because they were trying to take it down. But it's so hard. So Silk Road is like that underground. The dark web. It was like a sales site in the dark web. Is that all the dark web's for, by the way? I don't really know.
No. So, I believe that its original intention was not nefarious at all. It was groups of people that
don't track me, essentially.
Right. And I don't want to be regulated. I want a place that I want a safe part of the internet that's encrypted and whatnot. I don't completely claim to understand it. So I don't want to speak like on authority or anything. I've definitely downloaded the Tor web browser before and like followed the instructions on how to use it and all that stuff. But even that, apparently, there's still ways to track you if you don't turn off JavaScripting inside the Tor browser, which is on by default, and there's some other stuff you have to do. But after it became like this big taboo thing to even have it, I was like, I don't even want this thing. I don't want to be accused of being a drug dealing pedophile or whatever else,
See, I want to,
because that's kind of what it's become associated with, right? Like drugs, murder.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's the only reason I know about it is from reading news articles on when it started with the Silk Road. I used to hear about the dark web get talked about in like movies, and I thought it was like this big exaggeration to try to make the movie more dramatic, that there was the dark web, that the secret underground web, because I'm like, that doesn't really exist. I didn't know it really existed until about 2 years ago when they took down Silk Road. I didn't know anything about Silk Road at the time, because that was in 2015, right?
I don't know. That might have been the second iteration that got taken out, because it's gone. Like I said, it's gone through several iterations where it got reinvigorated and then has been taken down again and again. So yeah.
So,
and normally the way these things work too, it's not like they crack down a server room and then the site's gone. The government takes it over for a period of time, collects information. People continue to use the site for a period of time, and
then they try to track more people.
Right. Like I read one where basically the fucking FBI ran a child porn site for like a full year. Like, I don't even know how that's legal, but they did it. So that they could track people that were using it. I don't remember what it was called now. But they arrested, hundreds of people that had been using this for quite some time. It was all under, the dark web, some Tor site. I don't even understand how it works, because the URLs, it's not like there's some top level domain. It's like a jumble fuck of letters and stuff. I feel real ignorant when it comes to this stuff, because I feel like I'm educated on things internet related, and this whole thing, it just seems.
Well,
I just don't.
That's how I felt when I found out it was real. Like, I'm like, at the time, you know, I was a nurse still, because I can remember sitting in my car. This is how much it had an impact on me to realize that I didn't know this particular thing about the web, that the dark web actually existed. I was sitting in my car getting ready to go to work, and I was parking in the parking lot when I heard the story about the Silk Road getting taken down. And I was like, huh, that's kind of weird. What the hell is the Silk Road? And as I was listening to it to find out it was part of the dark web, I think I was like a couple minutes late to work that day because I was sitting in my car listening to this news story because I was like, what is happening here? How do I not know about this thing? But still, so the recently, and by recently, to just say it today, for those of you who are watching our content in the future, which everybody's watching in the future because we're not streaming it right now, but if you're watching our content, to know that today was the day that they took down, I don't even remember what it was called, but one of the second biggest one behind Silk Road that basically took over infamy from Silk Road. You know how they took it down?
No, tell me.
Apparently the guy who runs it was run by like a single person. He, in early messages, like right when this thing got off the ground and started gaining traction, he, I guess, messaged some people somehow using the site with his personal email address.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And then it got big and he stopped doing that, and that's exactly how they took him down and found out who he was. Wow. Apparently raided his apartment, caught him with, like, while he was on the internet at the time with his laptop on the Silk Road website doing some administrative duties. And so then the people who took him down, like whatever government agency, because it was over in, what the hell country was it in? Somewhere in Europe. But they had access to the Silk Road, or the Silk Road, whatever this one was, because he was logged in at the time. So they had access to the site to get as much information off it as they could.
That's some nice timing for them.
Yeah, you'd think. But it's just like, if you're going to start a dark web website that's known for, like, illicit drug sales and things like that, because that was one of the biggest things, is, I guess there's a big crackdown on this stuff now because a lot of these places sell all these illegal drugs like fentanyl, and fentanyl's been causing so many deaths in the, community with people ODing on it and things like that, that they're really going after them. But why, for one, would you ever use your personal email address? And if you did use it, how did you not, like, somehow distance yourself from this?
Start over at that point.
Right. Like that's the whole point is the dark web. You're supposed to be non-traceable. It's like anonymous, everything's in Bitcoins, right, and, whatever all those other cryptocurrencies are. And using your personal email address on those sites. It's like giving your social security number out because somebody asked for it. Like, oh yeah, sure, no problem, here it is. Type of deal. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know, there was these guys that did a video. Apparently there's in Texas, there's a Bitcoin ATM.
Really?
Where you can get Bitcoin out of this thing, or you can get dollars out of this thing from your Bitcoins, or you can purchase Bitcoin with money. And the funny thing is, to purchase the Bitcoin, you need to feed it with actual dollars. You can't, like, do it, like, electronically from a card. You have to feed it actual dollars. But to even get to that point, you have to give it all your personal information, pretty much everything in the world, let it take a picture of you, and then you feed it like 20s until you have as much as you want to purchase in Bitcoin, and it adds it to your wallet.
Jesus Christ! To buy one Bitcoin, they're up there pretty high now. They're like $1,200 or something.
They're over $2,000.
Really?
And at the time of this video, it was $640. I'm trying to remember the group that did this video. It was really funny, actually, because they were trying to see, like, they wanted to buy a Bitcoin and see what they could actually do with the Bitcoin. Like, so they went through all this trouble to buy a Bitcoin, and then ran into all this problems because they could buy it instantly and instantly have access to the Bitcoin, but they, when they went to cash it out at the end of the video, it takes authentication period for the third party, whoever does all this stuff, to authenticate and give them that, transfer the actual money to their account, and it charged them a $40 fee for it. And they in the video, I think they waited for like 48 hours and still didn't have the authorization to get their money back.
Wow.
So,
yeah, I've heard some of the sites that trade the cryptocurrency can be shady. So it's kind of unfortunate because it seems like otherwise, I mean, I don't know, like I used a company whenever we had PMC, like we accepted Bitcoins.
really?
And we never had yeah, we accepted Bitcoin.
So you have like, see, I'm so concerned about Bitcoin because I had a Bitcoin mining machine, quote unquote, like when Bitcoin not really when it started, when Bitcoin mining was popular. So it still wasn't really worth it. And I was just doing it like for a couple hours a day because I thought it was like, oh my God, it's potential to make money. I think at the end of it all, I had like 0.00008 Bitcoins or something. And it was like not even enough that I could pull out of, you know, transfer into my wallet or whatnot. But I already don't know how to access my wallet anymore. So I made a new wallet recently because I was just looking at more Bitcoin things again after watching this video. I was like, oh, let me see how much money is in my Bitcoin wallet. Couldn't find it. I was like, oh, let's make a new wallet. They don't even make them the same way anymore. It's like you don't even back them up in the same way you used to. Now there's like these 12-word strings that you have to use specifically based on whatever wallet service that you're using. And I was like, I would lose my money instantly in Bitcoin.
Yeah, everything that we had was all with a site called Coinbase. But yeah, I don't. That's another thing that I don't completely understand. I don't completely understand Bitcoins
And Bitcoin mining.
I understand them. Well, okay, I don't understand the mining either.
I actually watched a lot of videos in the last couple of weeks on Bitcoin mining because I was determined to understand how the hell it worked. I don't want to just know that you can do it. This is the hardware you need to do it. I want to know how the fuck does mining make me money somehow? What is the point of mining? And
what'd you find out?
I kind of get it now, except for the.
Where's it mined from? That's what I don't understand. Like, I understand GPUs are the best the best hardware.
You're basically, all the users of Bitcoin are the ones who are essentially keeping the paper trail of Bitcoin. Because there's no real paper trail of it.
It's called like the blockchain.
Right, it's all the blockchain stuff. The thing I still don't get about it is, by doing this and putting some of your like processing power to this in some way, shape, or form, you basically you can mine with it because you're essentially doing these calculations on the blockchain that requires a lot of computer power from a lot of people. And when you get to certain points in the blockchain, there's Bitcoins or something in there as a reward. And that's the thing that I still don't understand about it. I get that everybody with this type of currency is kind of responsible together collectively to keep the blockchain data, and there's all this integrity checks and all that between a bunch of different people, and that's kind of where all the processing comes from. I still don't understand how the payments work in the middle of it.
Right.
Like, what did I do that would earn me or not earn me money?
And there's less Bitcoins to be mined.
Yeah,
as time goes on.
It goes down as time goes on, and the reward for actually cracking whatever the mathematical problem that was sent to your computer is less and less as time goes on. And they're harder and harder to do and require more processing power. So that's the thing that I'm completely lost on. And then there's oh shit, what is the other one called that I saw? Because Bitcoin is best with GPUs, but there's another one out there, another cryptocurrency that is.
Is it Dogecoin?
No, it's not Dogecoin, but that is one of them. But it has to do with your hard drive space, and you make these plats in your hard drive that then store certain information and try to solve things faster than other people, and like the whole concept. I'm so blown away by it, and I think there's people out there who actually completely get it, but I have a feeling that most of the hardcore miners don't necessarily get it. They just know how it can work to get money. Maybe I'm wrong on that, though. Maybe I'm just stupid.
Maybe I'm just stupid.
Yeah, maybe I'm just stupid. Maybe it's a really, really, really simplistic concept. And
I do wonder if I spent the time, could I understand it? Because I admit I've never actually even tried hardcore to understand it. So, but I probably am stupid too, to be honest.
It's such a weird concept to me to like. I get why you started the Bitcoin. You wanted it to like take away the central power from the banks and things like that. I get it. How it works is so far beyond my understanding. I didn't know you would take Bitcoin at your old place. So do you still have a Bitcoin wallet that's filled with like thousands of Bitcoins and you're a rich man?
Right. That's where all my money's stored. It's in the Bitcoin verse.
I wonder if Bitcoins are part of marital assets and things like that when it comes to...
Yeah.
Are they really?
Is
it? But is it really a currency though?
It is. It is legally a currency. Where's our bell picker?
But I'm using it right now.
No, you're bailing. You're not picking it up, right?
Oh, it's over in front of the other side of the barn, I believe I saw it. By the silo.
Okay. I was going to pick up the stuff you did.
But is it really considered a currency? Like,
yeah, totally is.
Like, I thought... But everything could be considered a currency.
Blowjobs?
Yeah, in theory, right? Anything that one would give that somebody else feels is worth something to utilize to trade goods or services, wouldn't that in theory be currency? Because Bitcoins are not regulated, they're digital, they're virtual. I mean, is World of Warcraft gold currency?
Yeah.
That's considered a currency.
I think so. I think that's definitely something you could fight for in a divorce settlement. You think I could get blowjob alimony?
I mean, possibly.
now that you've said it's a currency, I'm kind of wondering.
I mean, I guess anything's possible to get alimony for, right? Probably not. You'd probably get laughed out. But I'm sure, like, I'm not. I'd have to actually do research to find out if Bitcoin has become an official currency or is it just like an unofficial currency.
I'm certain of this.
And why are you certain that it's an official currency?
Because I feel like I read something about it. Like
who's the official currency body that determines?
The FDIC.
But it's not like backed by the FDIC.
No, it's not. Okay, so I tried not to speak on matters that I don't have some knowledge on, but I swear. So this is a tenuous conversation. But I swear that I read something about this exact subject, and that it was considered something that you could claim. Like there was some legal battle with like a company that broke up or something like that, and the partners all got equal shares of the Bitcoins. But I just can't remember the details right now. But I do feel confident in what I'm saying.
But like airline miles, are they currency?
Yes, that is definitely something that is part of a divorce separation.
But they're worth something. It doesn't mean that they're currency, though.
No, but they are. I mean, it's just like it is something that comes up, of course.
Oh, well, I'm sure. I mean, you could, like my Case's Miller Lite could come up.
Right. Yeah. I guess that's the thing. In a divorce, anything that has any value, sentimental or financial, can be divided.
Right. But what would be the definition of a currency?
Well, Bitcoins are definitely that.
See, I'm so not.
I mean, it is that is literally its whole thing.
Oh, I understand that that's its purpose, and I'm not saying that people don't accept it for payment for things. I get that, but I don't know what it makes something an official currency or not.
I think it's just that they call it a currency.
Yeah, I guess you could in theory call anything a currency.
Right. Like yeah.
I mean, could I use that if I ever got caught with like a prostitute? Could I say that, no, I was not purchasing sex from her. She was purchasing money from me.
Purchasing money?
Yes.
She was using her mouth currency
to get these green pieces of paper that she fancied and thought were pretty.
I don't think that's going to hold up in court. I really think you should have just brought a camera with you and said you were making porn.
Well, I guess they do have the whole prostitution stuff is for accepting like anything of any value, right? So we do know that Bitcoins have value, but at the same time, anything theoretically has value.
Oh yeah, you're thinking you can get away with like a hooker if you use Bitcoins?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to wonder if you could like if hookers start taking Bitcoins. Is that no longer?
Man, that's an expensive hooker. That's like some fucking.
Well, she doesn't have to take a full Bitcoin.
Oh, okay.
She can take like partial Bitcoins. I would think. Like, I hope there's no transaction, because I've seen that they take bitcoins at like certain, like, you know, food trucks and things like that. I would assume they don't have a 1 bitcoin minimum, right?
You want the Bitcoin
Dude,
taco?
you know what? If I ever start a business, I will take Bitcoin and say it's a 1 Bitcoin minimum. And if some sucker really wants to buy, like, give me that Bitcoin, hey, I just made a lot of money.
I don't mean to change the subject, but OJ is out of prison?
He's either out or he's going to be very soon, because he just got granted his parole. I didn't read too much about it.
So what was he locked up for? That's whenever he went crazy and broke in some places,
yeah,
right?
and he stole back like his own memorabilia that he had signed or something.
OJ crazy, man.
Yeah, after getting off death sentence for murdering your wife, you know, and getting.
You think he did it?
Yeah, he was found guilty in the civil suit. So
that's so wild. How does that work?
I don't. And that is something I've never understood. How can you be found not guilty in a criminal suit to then be able to be charged monetarily for the thing you were already found not guilty for, and then get found guilty in that? Like, that doesn't. To me, that sounds like double jeopardy. If you're ever found not guilty, I don't care if it's criminal or civil, you cannot bring the same lawsuit.
Right, and I guess it was because different people were bringing the lawsuit, maybe.
But that doesn't make any sense.
Oh no, I agree. I feel like it's like, well, we've already tried this case.
Yeah, it's like it's like the repeal of Obamacare. Oh, we've already lost. Let's do it again. Let's put it up for vote again. Let's just do it again, one more time. This time's a charm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think it's weird that we keep doing this whole. You know, it seems frivolous that every time we trade presidents, if we trade parties, the first step is to like undo
everything that the other party just did. Yeah, it's like
some shit needs some like permanence.
I really want to. I want to see like a third party guy come in and then just be like, let's undo the last 8 years and the 8 years before that, motherfuckers.
Let's just undo everything.
Yeah, undo everything.
I was looking at like some of the executive orders over the last like 10 presidents, and there's a couple things that have flopped like every fucking time. Like, we just keep flopping some things. Like, oh, let's flop this now, and then in 8 years we'll flop it again.
Yep, that seems to be what life is all about in the political world. It seems like the political world would be pretty easy. It's pretty much you do work for 8 years of your life, and then you have kind of a thing to just build on every 8-year cycle. No wonder there's senators that are then there for like 40 some odd years. They only have to do work once.
Yeah. It seems like getting reelected is a lot easier than getting the first time. That's for sure. You have to really fuck up to not get reelected.
I'm very, very, very much hoping that is, you know, something that changes in 2020.
We'll see
if it gets that far.
The world isn't in.
Oh god. Oh, I just mean if the presidency stays with the current president
right.
Up to 2020.
So John McCain, I'm sure you saw the news that while we're on the subject of politics, John McCain, brain cancer.
Oh yeah, I did see that, and he.
So I said I always liked John McCain, even though I'm not a Republican. I always was a fan of John McCain.
Yeah, so
like
was
a smart guy. Oh, Jesus Christ!
I'm just saying. I mean,
well, I want to bring it up because you remember in the commie testimony recently, everyone gave
the
John
commie
McCain
testimony.
Comey, sorry.
Come on, commies.
Yeah, I said commie, did I? I meant Comey. In the Comey testimony recently, John McCain was getting a lot of flack because he was like unintelligible, and just like was having trouble speaking, and like his sentences didn't make any sense, and like people are like, "Is he right in the head?" You think that was a little bit of brain cancer?
I mean, brain cancer doesn't usually hit overnight,
right?
So I can imagine that it was part of brain cancer.
I remember whenever my dad had cancer and it spread to his brain, he became an insane person on occasion. Like, I remember one night he like woke up in the middle of the night and he had the TV remote and he was like yelling at me about the TV remote and like about it needed something on the back, and like I was like, there's nothing that goes here, and like I could not get him to understand anything at all. He was just a crazy person.
And I've seen that in the hospital. Not that I deal with many cancer patients, but just like dementia and Just like problems with, people, patients in the ICU who think that they're making coherent sense and absolutely are not. And it scares me that, one day I very well could be like that. One day my family could be like that. Hell, pretty soon my mom can be like that. My mom's at a huge risk for Alzheimer's. And yeah, because both, her parents both had it really bad. And sadly and luckily lived to very old ages, which is always good to see because they were physically very healthy. But I mean, Alzheimer, because they were physically healthy, Alzheimer's pretty much what I remember them as now, because it was years and years and years of insanity.
Right.
And
yeah, I feel like it's better for everyone, the person and the family, if you just die quickly. I know it sounds terrible, but
my dad tells me, to this day, back when my parents took care of my grandparents for a while because they thought they only had a few years to go. So they moved in with us thinking they were going to be 1 or 2 more years before they would die, or one of them would die. And they couldn't take care of themselves anymore. And they lived for 4 years with us. And then they moved them to an assisted living facility because they couldn't even go to a home because they were too healthy for a home, like a full assist facility. So they moved into an assisted living facility in New York because they wanted to be closer to other family that they had over in Buffalo area. They lived there for 4 years before my grandfather finally passed away, and my grandma lived for another 3 years before she died. But it was just they thought they were going to live for a year, and 8 years later is finally when one of them, kicked the bucket. But when they lived with my parents, my dad used to tell me all the time. He would just be like, "I'm not kidding when I say this. If I get like this, shoot me," because he's not living anymore. He doesn't know what's going on. He pretty much just argues about things to argue about things because he knows that he doesn't know what the hell is happening, and it would make him mad.
Yeah, it's gotta be frustrating whenever you're insane, basically.
And he didn't. Luckily, we got him to finally relinquish his driver's license when he was 89 or something like that.
My grandma.
He hadn't driven. Yeah, he hadn't driven in multiple years because my parents had been driving him around, and they didn't mind that. But he always wanted his license because it's one of those things that people don't want to lose something.
I don't understand it. I mean, I guess as a person that doesn't want their license, it's different. But I don't understand that. My grandma's that way too. She's very, 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 very stubborn about this whole license thing. And I'm like, why do you care? You cannot drive. If you drive, you are basically you're an attempted murderer. I've said this to her, and she will not agree with me.
Does she still drive?
No. And I had taken her keys. I took her keys from her like a drunk person. And she got really angry about this, and so I ended up giving her keys back. But if she tries to drive, I feel like it should be criminally illegal.
I mean, I'm a firm believer in that after you reach a certain age, you should have to have a driving test every time you need to renew your license.
Every single time.
And I will submit to them myself.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that there's a safety concern out there, and I don't understand how people don't get it. It's funny. So, I'm an EMT. I'm a ski patrol member, and we have to do refreshers every year. And it's to make sure that you're up on your skills and you remember how to do things, especially some of the skills you don't use on a regular basis. Refresh on those again. We have people who are so afraid at the refresher to take any of this quote-unquote skills tests, even though they're not necessarily tests during refreshers. They're so afraid to do anything because they know they really have no idea what they're doing anymore, but don't want to admit it and don't want to not be members, but they don't want to learn either. They just kind of want to hide the fact that they will try not to do any first aid.
That's. I mean, you're not serving your purpose.
No. A lot of the people, especially on the ski patrol, I'll tell you, I've been on the patrol for years with a lot of the same people for many years, and there's people I've never seen work an accident. They find some way to weasel their way out of an accident because that they're not comfortable with what they're doing. They're just doing it for the social, the free skiing. It's something they've been doing for years. They really don't know what to do without it, type of deal. There's a decent amount of people like that, and it's kind of bullshit. Well, it's kind of bullshit, but it's just really funny. It's one of those things that people. Yeah, nobody wants to ever get something taken away from them or fail at something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess, yeah. It's like a freedom with the whole license thing too. But again, I don't think. I mean, yeah.
Oh no, I'm with you 100%. Like, having especially dealt with the two grandparents who were extremely demented through Alzheimer's, and I would not have trusted them behind the wheel ever, 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 ever in my adult life. Like, I mean, hell, my grandpa didn't die until I was 24, and my grandmother died when I was like 28 or 29, something like that. So, or 27, 28, somewhere in that time frame. So it's not like I was young when they died. Like, I knew them, I had been around them. There was many, like, since I was 16, I would never have gotten in the car with them. I'm just trying to say that at 16 as like the age when I was driving, you know, would never have gotten in the car with them because that would have just been like a death sentence.
My grandma's got to this point where she tells me the same things every day. I swear, like, I've heard her favorite story right now is about Ambien. Like, my God, do not take Ambien. Do not take Ambien. Do never ever take Ambien. Are you familiar with Ambien, Jeff? Don't take it.
I mean, I know what it is. I've never taken it.
Well, don't.
Does it give you? Should she have one of those reactions where she like?
She hasn't taken it, but apparently everyone that she's ever known has taken it. Like, I can tell you some stories.
Oh,
like,
her story is to tell you to not take it.
Yes.
Oh, I thought her story was about her taking Ambien, and she just kept saying it over and over and over again.
No. She's told me about like, there's a list, like 6 people have taken Ambien, and she's told me the story at least 6 times this week, and it's the same story every time, and how Ambien will just mess you up, and it'll make you a crazy person, and you'll get in your car and you'll drive around at night, and not realize what you're doing, and just Ambien bad.
Ambien bad. Yeah, when my grandmother used to live with us, it was funny because we had a dog. The dog's name was Darby. It was a golden retriever. And every day when I would get home to my parents' house, or every week when I would come home, I can't remember if I was like living in college or what I was doing at the time, but she would ask me what the dog's name was. I'd say Darby, and she'd be like, "Oh, Darby, I have a cousin named Darby. Is it a boy or a girl?" "It's a girl, Grandma." "Oh, my cousin was a boy, though. I'm surprised the dog's name is Darby, because that's like usually a boy's name." Every single time that I saw her, this was the exact conversation that I had. Except once, I walked in the door, and she was like, "Oh, Jeff, how's it going? How's engineering school?" And I was like, because I was in computer engineering school at the time, and I like looked at her and I was like, "It's fine. Like, are you okay?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, just you said you had that test or something coming up at the beginning of the week," and she even said what class it was, and like, "Well, your calculus class. How did it go?" And I was like, what the fuck is happening right now? Like, this woman's like remembering everything. And I was like, "Oh, it went fine. I got, whatever percentage I got." And she's like, "Oh, well, that's good to hear. Well, keep up the studies. You'll make a good engineer." "Oh, that's a nice dog. What's the dog's name?" Like, was immediately followed by this. And I was like, what just happened? Like, what literally just happened right now?
Wow, that's weird.
Yeah.
She's not like that. Like, she's not where she's literally like Alzheimer's, but it is like there is some stories that I'm just tired of hearing, and
she just really wants you to stay away from Ambien.
Fucking Ambien, dude. She gets this book. I've been hearing about this magazine since I was probably my daughter's age. It's called Best Pills, Worst Pills. You familiar with this magazine, this publication?
No.
Well,
sounds like a bunch of like sales bullshit.
She lives by this thing. She has every copy that's ever been mailed to her. Basically, her house was built on fucking
the foundation of these magazines.
Versions of this book, and if it has been listed in this book as a bad pill, she'll never take it, and she'll remember it too. Like, so the doctor will be like, "Well, I'm going to put you in this." "Well, I remember in Best Pills, Worst Pills, 1976, issue 12." And so yeah, she lives by this damn pill magazine.
That is, yeah, I've never even heard of that, and I wouldn't even know, like, how does it rate these pills? Scientifically?
Honestly, you would think I would have looked at some point in all these years, but every time she has told me this, my only thought in my head is, you're a crazy person. And that's like all the credit I give her for this whole thing. It's just like, this is propaganda, basically. Like, this magazine, like, it has an agenda, and how can you not see that?
Yeah, it definitely seems like that's an agenda magazine.
Yeah.
So easy, like, and that's another problem with like magazines and things like that is you have no idea which ones are sponsored by
Right.
who, and especially a magazine like that, you literally, and that's the problem with like Oprah's book club and all that. Like all of a sudden Oprah recommends a book and it's like a bestseller. But
Right.
like, what is necessarily happening with the sponsorship of that book? Is it because Oprah's
you
getting
know that
paid?
she's been paid.
Yeah, that's like, in Oprah's book club's a completely different thing. Like, she's not necessarily. I don't know. I've never watched Oprah in my life. Actually, I don't know if she goes on
Really?
about how
Never,
everything.
never, ever have you seen Oprah?
Not like an episode. I've never sat down and watched an
Really?
episode. No. Have I seen it on TV? Like, and caught like a segment or something on YouTube and funny things happen? You know, like the you get a car and you get a car, like that stuff. Sure. Have I ever sat down and watched an episode? No, never in my life.
I just feel like that's one of those things where everyone's parents did at some point, so you just kind of did. Like Phil Donahue, man, I've probably seen 1,000 episodes of Phil Donahue.
I've seen a couple Donahues. I used to be a big like into obviously Jerry Springer because that was like really popular when I was in high school. So it was in high school, of course, that's the mentality that you have anyway. It's like I'm a Jerry Springer guest, so that was like great. But I used to watch a lot of Montel Williams and Maury Povich.
Yeah,
For sure. Like all those ones. I liked Psychic Sylvia Brown on Montel Williams the best though.
Oh man. Psychic.
Do you believe in psychics?
No.
Me neither, but I thought then that they might be real. That was always amazed me. Like there's
in high school, especially once I like had a love life. Oh my god, my horoscope was super important to me, and whoever I was seeing at the time, their horoscope as well.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I used to read horoscopes and joke around about them. I never, ever, ever once believed my horoscope.
It was like
true.
I remember it as like a desperation thing. Like it really became important once I had lost a girlfriend, and like I needed to know what was going on in her head. So I needed to know what her horoscope was.
See, the horoscope thing never for me. What it always was for me, but mainly especially with breakups, like you said, not with like necessarily the relationships getting together or starting or whatnot.
Yeah, no, this was definitely breakups.
Yeah,
not.
But I would always think any song that was played on the radio was like written for me. Like it just sounded like I could always relate it. This song, oh my god, it's written for me. It's like exactly my situation that nobody else in life has ever experienced, type of deal.
Yeah, I find that all pop songs and country, really all songs are about how much the world's gonna hurt you.
Yep.
Yeah, that's how you sell music.
And it works because I still love those songs.
Yeah.
Especially the ones that I think were at one point in my life I thought were like written for me or about my situation essentially, because you have like this connection with the song now.
Right. God, the Counting Crows, August and Everything After CD, that whole CD is basically what you just described.
That's more of a down CD, for sure. I'm trying to remember a lot of the songs on it. It's been a long time since I've listened to Counting Crows besides like the big hits because those are all you hear anymore get played anywhere.
Yeah, that was like Mr. Jones, Around Here, those songs.
That was in the heyday of music
Omaha.
videos though.
Yeah.
Mr. Jones is a big music video. Right Here, Around Here was a big music video at the time when I was in high school. Was it high school? Yeah, I think it was high school.
Yeah, it should have been.
Yeah. Counting Crows is a good band. I like Counting Crows.
Oh yeah, I love Counting Crows. It's still though whenever he went to rehab,
you think his music lost flavor?
Well, that CD they put out right after his rehab, it was real bad. It was real bad. There's one song on it called Hospital Bed, and I imagine he wrote it from his hospital bed. And it's real bad.
Like bad as in it's got a bad tempo, it's got a bad
Everything
like beat.
about it,
The
actually.
lyrics are terrible.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I need to be in a different space. I mean, maybe the other music just resonated with me because of where I was mentally. But that last CD, I wasn't there with him. I wish I was, because I really like Counting Crows, but I could not get into that last CD of theirs.
Yeah.
There might have been one since then, actually. I've actually missed a few Pearl Jam CDs. I was always a big Pearl Jam fan, and Co and them laugh at me a lot for this. They don't like Pearl Jam.
For liking Pearl Jam?
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with Pearl Jam. I was never a huge Pearl Jam fan, but I was never against Pearl Jam either. I don't think that was bad music at all.
I guess they associate it with, like, selling out, liking a band only because it's popular.
But somebody had to like it for it to get popular.
Right, yeah.
I mean, that's so, like, I was really, really, really into the band the Bare Naked Ladies long before they were mainstream popular.
Oh, you cut out right as you said whatever it was you were into.
Exactly. I'm going to keep you guessing the whole time.
Yeah,
I was really into the band. And I goes right before they were popular. No,
did you just do that on purpose, or did it cut out again exactly?
No, I did that on purpose.
Oh, okay. I was about to say.
No, Bare Naked Ladies.
Oh, okay.
And this is long before they were like mainstream popular. And my friends this was middle school. This was late middle school. Used to really make fun of me because, for one, it was a ridiculous band name. Obviously, they can't be good, and like nobody's understood their music. It was different. And then, of course, when they started getting popular, everybody was like, Jeff, you should hear this CD, you should hear this band, blah, 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 which, of course, like, I'd already known about because there was they used to make fun of me. But I will tell you, I was super into them, and I think they completely changed their music style by they're still putting out albums now, at least some of them, the ones that didn't get kicked out of the band and all, and they're like, in my opinion, they're terrible. But they have a random good song here and there now, whereas before I felt everything of theirs was like fantastic.
Every song, every CD.
Yeah,
that's how it was about OAR for the longest time, which I still like OAR, but I don't know, there was a point where I was like fanatical about OAR, and now it's just like, I like OAR, but
you like their music, but you also don't necessarily like them as much as personalities anymore, right?
Yeah, they kind of changed. That's true.
Yeah, so I mean, and that's something that gives you a whole different perspective on something that you really like, is when you kind of like when you realize you don't have much in common with them anymore. It's almost like a relationship. It's like
we broke up.
Yeah. Me and the Bare Naked Ladies broke up too. What a sad day in life.
And on this day, we're gonna break up with our viewers because we must go.
Well, viewers, I'm breaking up with you.
Belling Simulator.
I didn't hear what you said. I just made something up in my mind that sounded kind of like...
I said, I hope you enjoyed Belling Simulator.
I thought you said, call me later.
Call me later.
I'm breaking up with my viewers, but call me later. All right, guys, thanks.
See ya.